History is written by the survivors, but the truth lies in the dust. This is where the legends hide.
In this video, you'll see how a scrawny teenage boy from the slums of New York became the most feared gunslinger in the American frontier. You'll see his first kill at just 18 years old. You'll see the largest manhunt New Mexico had ever organized, hundreds of men hunting a single teenager. And you'll see the betrayal that finally brought him down, shot in the dark by a man he once called a friend. But before any of that, before the legend, before the price on his head, he was just a poor, orphaned kid trying to survive in a land with no mercy for the weak. Henry McCarty was born in the slums of New York City around 1859, though even his exact birth date remains disputed to this day. His mother, sick with tuberculosis, moved the family west, searching for a climate that might save her life. It didn't. She died when Henry was just 14 years old, leaving him alone in a frontier town with no family, no money, and no protection. A boy alone on the frontier had exactly two choices: starve or take what he needed to survive. Henry chose the second one, and it would cost him everything. At just 16, Henry was arrested for stealing food from a Chinese laundry, a petty crime that should have meant a few days in anger. From that moment on, there was no going back to an ordinary life. 2 years later, everything changed. In a saloon in Arizona, a blacksmith twice his size mocked him one too many times. What happened next would earn him his first kill and a new name. The blacksmith, Frank Cahill, grabbed the teenager and threw him to the ground in front of a room full of men. Henry pulled his revolver and fired. Cahill died the next day. Henry was arrested, but once again, he escaped, this time for good. The boy who fled New York as an orphan now had a new identity: William H. Bonney. The world would soon know him by another name: Billy the Kid. And what came next would turn a single killing into a full-scale war. Billy found work as a ranch hand for cattle rancher John Tunstall, one of the few men who ever treated him with respect. But Tunstall had powerful enemies. When a rival faction had him murdered in cold blood, Billy swore revenge. He joined a group of gunmen calling themselves the Regulators, and the Lincoln County War exploded across New Mexico. Billy wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was hunting the men who killed the only person who ever gave him a chance. Over the following months, Billy and the Regulators killed several men connected to Tunstall's death, including a sheriff. Newspapers across the territory began printing his name. He was no longer just a fugitive. He was becoming a legend, a symbol of frontier justice to some, and a cold-blooded killer to others. The territorial governor placed a $500 bounty on his head. But fame on the frontier came with a price, and the man about to collect that bounty was someone Billy once called a friend. Pat Garrett, a former buffalo hunter who once drank alongside Billy in the same saloons, was elected sheriff of Lincoln County, specifically to hunt him down. Garrett captured Billy in December 1880 and had him sentenced to hang for the murder of a sheriff during the Lincoln County War. It seemed like the story was finally over. It wasn't. Billy had one more escape left in him, and this one would become the most famous jailbreak in the history of the American frontier. Days before his scheduled execution, Billy managed to get his hands on a revolver while being escorted to the outhouse. He killed both of his guards and rode out of town in broad daylight, whistling as he passed stunned townspeople. The story spread across the territory within days. Billy the Kid had cheated death again, and the manhunt that followed would be the largest New Mexico had ever seen. Pat Garrett wasn't going to let him escape a second time. He tracked Billy for months, and on a moonless night in July 1881, the hunt finally came to an end. On the night of July 14, 1881, Garrett waited in the dark bedroom of a mutual friend's house in Fort Sumner, having received word that Billy was nearby. When Billy walked into the darkened room, unaware anyone was there, Garrett fired twice. Billy the Kid died instantly. He was believed to be 21 years old, though, like his birth, even his exact age at death remains disputed. In just a few short years, an orphaned boy with nothing had become one of the most talked about men in the American West. But his death didn't end the legend, it created it. Within weeks of his death, dime novels were already printing exaggerated tales of his life. Some called him a cold-blooded murderer. Others called him a folk hero who only killed to survive in a lawless world. More than a century later, historians still argue over how many men he actually killed. Estimates range from 4 to over 20. What's certain is this: no outlaw of the American frontier has captured the public imagination quite like Billy the Kid. If you want to see more real stories from the deadliest men of the American frontier, the next video in this playlist is waiting for you right now. Subscribe to Old West Untold and ride along.